Hello, and welcome to the Biomass Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Anna Simet, and on this episode, we have with us Cody Myers, managing partner and co-founder at Green Rock Energy Partners. Cody, welcome to the podcast, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Anna. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so to start, Cody, Green Rock Energy Partners is a private equity firm that invests in renewable energy. Why don't we begin with having you tell us a little bit about your company's background? I understand it's a fairly new company. What led to its launch and what are you guys all about?
Certainly, Anna. Thanks for taking the time today. My partners and I formed Green Rock in 2019, and we formally launched in 2021. We partner with successful entrepreneurs to provide equity capital for sustainable infrastructure projects and companies. Taking a further step back, private equity oftentimes can be a complex asset class as it comes in many different sizes and strategies. We bucket ourselves as a low and middle market firm that invest in sustainable infrastructure. So this means that we make equity investments typically between 5 million and 25 million. So the project size could be larger, let's say 150 million. We might partner with someone and raise some debt capital behind it. But typically between 5 to 25 million buckets us in more the low and middle market. Our investment strategy typically centers around a commodity component to it. So it would have the project or company would have a physical infrastructure component to the asset itself, and there would be a kind of a commodity offtake to it. And taking a further step back, so Green Rock manages a private equity fund. We manage institutional capital, which comes from pension funds, endowments, foundations, high net worth individuals, insurance companies, and corporates. So we have a fund and we invest in various projects.
So I think it's a good segue into my next question. What are some profitable strategies right now? What types of projects are experiencing a favorable financing atmosphere? And finally, do you see private equity financing trending moving forward in this space?
That's a great question. We see the energy transition being kind of a big topic these days. Although what I would comment and caveat is that the energy transition, in our belief, has been around for a number of years. My partners have been involved more so on the liquid fuel side for the past decade, which would include ethanol and biodiesel. In addition, we have experience with fuel switching, which comes through CNG and LNG. Even more of a broader perspective, while the concept of the energy transition seems to be the latest trend, we believe it's really happened or really occurring over the past 15 years, transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy, which in the past has largely been driven through biomass-based fuels like ethanol and biodiesel, and also renewable electricity, which is wind and solar, biomass, hydro. When looking at kind of the profitable projects, we see the energy transition really taking the next step. Our focus at this point is in more of the hard to decarbonize areas. This would include rail, aviation, marine, heavy duty transportation, and also commercial industrial, which is high heat processes.
Okay, thanks, Cody. So there have been some big policy movements over the past year or so, the Inflation Reduction Act, the SAF Grant Challenge, the DOE's hydrogen funding. How impactful have these been on your investment outlook?
These have been a game changer. What I'd highlight is that Europe has been really progressive over the past decade and really pushing their energy transition. There have been a number of policies through there. We are now seeing it happen in the U.S. I would say historically there have been programs to kind of incentivize either low carbon or renewable fuel. But really what's happened is that the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 has really been an accelerating factor to these investments. Within the past 5 to 10 years, we still believe that these projects, whether they would be renewable natural gas projects, sustainable aviation fuel projects, or other areas that we focus on, would be successful investments without the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act has helped these specific projects go from a good project to a great project.
Great point. So your most recent news, I saw you had acquired a Pennsylvania renewable natural gas production facility. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And then what other projects you have in your portfolio or pipeline right now that you might be able to talk about?
Certainly. By way of background, we've made 4 investments and soon to be a 5th investment will be coming up in the next quarter. 3 are public right now that are RNG investments, renewable natural gas investments, with the 4th being a feedstocks processing facility. Our first investment was made about July of 2021 through a portfolio company called Biotown Biogas. It's a partnership with a successful family farm who has been in the biogas space for almost a decade. partnered with Biotown Ag to form Biotown Biogas. And this is a renewable natural gas facility in Reynolds, Indiana. It takes in feedstocks such as food waste or agricultural waste and produces renewable natural gas or renewable electricity. The facility itself produces approximately 3 million gallons per year of transportation fuel, while 42 million kilowatt hours per year of electricity. Our second investment we made was actually a renewable natural gas platform called Verity Energy. Verity is a partnership with another private equity firm, Warburg Pincus. We helped co-found Verity with Warburg, and since have hired on a very successful management team. Compared to Biotown, which is much more based on regional based and much more feedstock specific, Verity is feedstock agnostic. So it has a team of management that goes out there to source renewable natural gas projects, and whether it be landfill, municipal waste, agricultural waste, food waste, and what they're in the business of doing is kind of developing, owning, and operating projects. So we made our second investment. It has an equity commitment between Warburg and GreenRock of approximately $320 million. And they're actively growing and developing projects across the country. Our third investment is the one that you hinted at before, which is South Hills RNG. It's a landfill project in the south side of Pittsburgh. It was an idle facility that was developed by a successful entrepreneur, but had since kind of gone idle due to operational constraints. We identified the opportunity approximately a year ago and have brought in the requisite parties to kind of help bring it up to speed. The investment was done in the past 6 months, but what we're looking forward to is really getting it online in very short order to help take part in the energy transition. And what I'll highlight is our fourth investment that was made kind of subsequent to the third investment is confidential as of this point, but I think it's one of the more exciting ones. It is a U.S. Gulf Coast-based renewable feedstocks facility that processes the feedstocks for use in sustainable aviation fuel or renewable diesel projects. It takes in things such as fats, oils, and greases. It helps process and refine them and makes it so that they can be used in the sustainable aviation fuel renewable diesel process. And then our fifth investment will soon be announced. It is a large dairy RNG project in the Midwest.
Okay, that's exciting stuff. You guys have a lot going on. Cody, you had mentioned before the podcast, you noticed you were the first private equity financer that we've had on the podcast. Is there anything else that you want to add on this topic?
Sure. I think that this space, we believe rising tides lifts all boats. And in comparison to things being much more competitive with each other, we believe that we're all working together for a greater goal. What we focus on, it does have a unique aspect of, when we talk about kind of how we brand ourselves, how we group ourselves, we look at this as much more of an impact investment opportunity. What that focuses on is really a couple different components to this, which is people, planet, and profits. We really focus, we're profit-oriented investors. We have a mission. We're managing institutional capital to kind of drive profits for our investors. But at the same time, we look at ourselves as a triple bottom line where we also focus on people and the planet. And what that means is that we have, really focusing on kind of how we empower our employees to really help kind of create change. And our change at this point is primarily focused on the planet. So when looking at the aggregate space of the energy transition, we believe biomass serves a great role within this. And what I would encourage everyone out there to understand is that, rather than competing against each other, we are trying to help share and share information for best practices and how we do this better. We believe that there is plenty of room for everyone to make profits and do well. And it's really kind of the do good and do well at the same time sort of mentality to this. So, across the board, we have a lot of conversations through idea generation or through sharing with others. And we always look forward to collaborating with others. But what I'd say is oftentimes, people are just reaching out to private equity firms for just money and whatnot. But I think that there's a lot more components to this, and working together collaboratively will help kind of accelerate the energy transition and help benefit everyone in the planet also.
Absolutely. Love that perspective, Cody. Thanks so much. With that, I think we'll wrap things up. Invite my listeners to contact you if, they want to follow up. And then I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and telling us more about GreenRock Energy Partners.
Thanks, Anna. I really appreciate it and appreciate the time and looking forward to connecting with everyone.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, as always, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be well. Until next time.